Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I've got Lance, VK7ZA. Hello, Lance.
Hello.
And Steve, VK7OO.
Hello.
And just before we get underway, I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people, traditional owners of the land upon which we are presenting. And pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge, the culture and hopes of Tasmanian Aboriginals. So, I've got the TWooZA team in the studio.
All three of us.
All three of us.
RD contest. Remembrance Day Contest.
For the Remembrance Day Contest. So we're going to do a little bit of a review of how we thought the RD contest went. There's a few stats that we're going to look at, and obviously lots of discussion about how we each thought it would was actually go. So just as a general start, how do we think it panned out for Lance or Steve?
Yeah, you go first. Just like that.
Well, so last year I was only on VHF, UHF, FM. So working very local contacts.
Yep.
Had an absolute ball.
Cool.
So this year being able to be on HF as well was fantastic.
Was that for the whole 24 hours, or was that for only a short time?
I did the 24-hour contest period, but
Okay.
I slept from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So in the lead up, there was I think a couple of weeks before I extended my 40-metre end-fed half-wave to 80 metres, so
Okay.
it was naturally resonant on 80 as well.
Okay.
So I had that, and then the day before the contest, I strung up a random bit of wire, another end-fed half-wave for 160 metres.
Can I just say, in true Remembrance Day style,
Yeah.
everyone goes, "Oh shit, it's tomorrow."
So I just used up an entire reel of about, I think I had about 60 metres of wire on one reel. And then, so I ran that and then connected another reel to get my 80 metres of wire strung all around. Basically, I used the entire perimeter of the garden. Part of it was at about 7 metres above ground level.
Okay.
But certainly, with the exception of about a 20-metre length, most of it was down probably around a metre, really at fence height. However, because it's an end-fed half-wave, your main resonant area is in the middle of the antenna.
Yes.
And so I made sure that the way it was positioned, that was the bit that had the most elevation.
Okay.
So I was operating then basically all the way up to 160 down to 160 meters.
Even though they call it top band.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And then the other difference was I've been on a CW crusade since the end of last year, learning CW. So I operated on CW and voice.
Okay.
This year, so
And there were lots of
fun.
CW operators out there?
there were, but I ran out of CW operators.
Right.
So there were definitely more voice than just CW.
Yep, okay.
It would have been interesting to do the contest just on CW, but I just don't think there's enough stations. So let me just make sure it's not going to turn off. So if we have a look at some stats, this is my run period, so only active hours.
Okay.
The blue was CW and the yellow was voice. Yep. And so you can see that
just here.
yeah. So that would have just been, I've broken that down into 15-minute periods.
Okay.
So that would have been a 15-minute period where I was only working CW.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so most of my CW was on 40 metres and up.
Okay.
I tried 20 metres, and 20 metres during the day was just a bust, not because there weren't Australian stations, but I was just getting hammered by Eastern Europe. And so regardless of calling, CW, or calling CQRD, I was just getting European contest stations. And I'd even go back and say, only working
VKCL
RD, or maybe that's what I should have said, only working RD test.
Okay.
And they would still just keep hammering. And I think in hindsight, what I should have done is when that happened, just worked them and moved on. Just given them a signal report, a number, and moved on.
Okay.
So I really didn't spend too much time on 20.
So there was a CW contest somewhere else in the world.
Yeah, there was something in Europe going on. Yeah.
Okay.
And so there was just this,
Okay.
Yeah, it was more effective to move up to 40 and go from there.
Well, and can I just point out that the reason that ZBX Richard was not on the RD for the whole time was there was the ARRL EME contest going on as well. So he was trying to make EME 10 gig EME contacts, which he did. So he was getting up at all hours as well, but for a different contest.
Yes, he worked all night except the end of the triple points period because he was getting set up for EME contest.
Correct.
He probably got less sleep than any of us.
So now, Steve, how did you go?
Mixed bag.
Okay.
I better antennas this year than last year.
Okay.
So on HF in particular, so I had a 160 metre antenna, which I didn't have last year.
Yep.
I still have my NFED on 80 and 40, and that really let me down. That antenna just doesn't work very well for me.
Yeah. Okay.
People can hear me, but I can't hear them.
So is that because of background noise?
Noise is very high.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I did was I experimented with a loop on ground, and I did get it to work. And I was like, this is great. But then I thought, to get it to work on 80 metres, I had to switch the 80 metre antenna out of the system before the receive antenna would work. And it was great, it was fine. So I thought, I need to put a common mode choke in. There's obviously common mode currents flowing around here somewhere, so I put a common mode choke into it. It just died.
Yeah, okay.
Took the common mode choke out, it still died. It was no good, I couldn't use it. So that was a couple of days' work wasted. Completely wasted.
Okay.
So that was no good. I have a better antenna.
That's a pessimist view. You learned something. It's not wasted.
Oh, it's wasted because I didn't achieve anything.
Oh, very good, Lance. Yes.
And I didn't learn anything because I don't know why it worked and then it didn't work because I put it back the way it was and it still didn't work.
And it still didn't work. Yeah.
So
there's something in there.
So I haven't learned anything because there was no science to this. It was just like it worked, kind of worked. It's like it worked all right on 40 metres, and I couldn't get it to work on 80 if I switched the antenna out, which would have been a pain in the contest. So I thought of making a device that would automatically switch the antenna out just by a relay, and but I got distracted. No, I can put a common mode choke in, and no, that wrecked it. So something happened. Something went wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the loop on ground failed.
Yep.
So on 20 metres and up, I had the hex beam this year, which on 20 metres was awesome.
Yeah.
It was found a lot of fun on 20 metres. I love that band.
Okay.
But I had 15 available, which I didn't have last year, and not much on 10, luckily, unfortunately, but. That's the way it is.
Yep.
So, but 20 and 15 were good.
Yep.
And 160 metres, disappointing that it didn't open up. I mean, I did actually get into a net, and there was VK3s in there, VK2, and the VK4 that was in that net.
Yep.
They couldn't hear him either, so it just wasn't going up the coast like it normally would.
Yeah.
So,
Any ZLs?
I got a few ZLs, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not on 160, I don't think.
I know, because the weekend was my first 160 metre ZL contact.
Okay.
So I'm really happy with that. Only one, and that was a struggle because it really low down, but it happened. It happened.
I made 2 contacts in the VK8, which I'm pretty impressed
Yeah,
with.
well and truly.
Because this is the first time ever.
And VK6, lots of VK6s
lots of
on.
VK6, but you get them, especially on 20 metres. They're not that hard to get.
Yeah, okay.
But VK8 always hard to get.
Well,
I was getting VK6 at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And VK8's just in the contest. I think there were 3 or 4 VK8s in the contest.
I think 3 or 4, yeah.
So I just, wow, okay. In fact, the Northern Territory, from a participation rate point of view, is probably giving VK7 a run for its money, because there actually aren't that many amateurs in VK8.
I think they probably won't give us a run unless they've got a dozen.
Okay. They're working on it.
Yeah, still, we're well ahead in log submissions at this point. There's something like 37 or 38 VK7s.
Yep.
Okay. And that's not the highest number for any state, but the next, the states that we need to watch is VK5 and VK6 are well lower.
Well and truly.
So yeah, at the moment we seem to be in the box seat again.
Yep.
Which is good.
I know, that's and can I just emphasise, the RD contest is. It is, and it's always been, it's a participation contest. It's not about getting high scores, it's about it's submitting logs, and the more logs submitted per the number of licensed amateurs gets you the participation rate figure that makes that score go up. So the more people that participate in a state, the better off that state is.
So last year VK7 got a score of around about 22. And the next nearest score, which was VK5, was 6.
Was 6. I know, correct.
That's
order of magnitude bigger.
Yeah.
Well and truly.
Massive.
So how did you go, Justin?
Okay. In fact, it's the very first RD that I have actually been ready with a tested station hours before the start.
So how many contacts on 160 metres do you think?
Actually, that's a good point. I've encountered individual bands. 160 metres, there would have been I reckon at least 100 contacts on 160 metres.
Because I had only 21 contacts on 160 metres, but they were worth 74 points.
I know, correct.
Very well scoring.
Well worth the. In fact, I didn't bring. There was some spreadsheet. your comment about spreadsheet analysis. I was doing some of that analysis, and I didn't bring the friggin' spreadsheet with me. But what I did bring was I was using VKCL as my logging program, just because I'm used to it, and it was easy. However, can I just say, about 3 hours into the contest, I had a rig that was quite high above me, and it was the 23 centimetre rig, and I was putting the microphone back up above.
And you dropped it?
Well, it fell and it hit my keyboard, my notebook keyboard, hard enough that the notebook just stopped.
Wow.
And everything locked up, and I went, oh shit, what do I do? Like, what do I do? And I had to I literally had to hold the power key down and reboot it. And I'm thinking, I really hope it's saved those last few contacts.
Well, VKCL is the database program.
Correct.
So every entry as you hit enter is in the database, locked away.
So came back up, and I just went quiet for probably, I reckon, about 5 minutes. And everything came back right again. And I checked those last couple of contacts, and they were all there, and I sort of went, okay. And I got the microphone and put it on the desk.
See, I only have one microphone, and a bunch of switches. And I can tell you what, the switches trip you up.
No, and that's so, and my strategy was very much, and it was a conscious strategy of, as soon as anything died down on VHF, UHF, I went to HF, and I consciously did that. The other thing I did with VKCL was I didn't have any rigs that were connected to VKCL.
I had one, just the HF rig.
Yeah, okay. I've had some mixed results with that.
I find it works well. The FT920 is hooked into the VKCL, so I just switch between that and manual.
Yeah, okay.
Only problem with that is every time you go to manual, you've got to go back to the VHF section to get to those sections.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
It's a bit of work.
N1mm. N1mm.
Yeah, okay. Righto.
Well, not the time to learn a new logging program in front of the contest.
An hour before. But the VKCL, I just had this conscious thing of I would change the VKCL band before I would make any contacts on that band. And I just stuck to it and religiously stuck to it. And
I certainly didn't. I was constantly fixing problems.
No, well, I fixed a few problems, but nowhere near the number that I fixed last time. That was just...
Well, I remember in the prep last year, you saying the same thing. And so, because I used VKCL last year, and doing that, like trying very hard not to touch the radio until I changed it on the thing first. And even then, I still mucked up a couple of times.
You just got to get into that sort of that sequence. But so VKCL gives you, there is a little stats button that. And you can push the stats button at any stage. You don't need to wait until the end. You can actually push the stats button and it gives you a progressive score. But what it gives you... Okay, that's all. Let's zoom out just a fraction. So, what this is showing you is, there is what did I do just then? There is a red line. There is a red line and a green line. Now, the green line is your points. So the points... Now, this is the confusing thing on this chart. This line here is your points and your contacts. So you can see and these are by hour. So in the first hour, there is that's 70 in the first hour. It just went off the show. And then it came back to about, this is the 40 line, then it dropped down. There's a little bit of a plateau here and a little bit of a plateau here, and guess what's between it? And then this scale, hang on, you can't see this. Hang on, let me go out just a fraction. This scale over here is your total points, which is this line here, this progressive line here. Then you can see we get to 1 o'clock and it zips up, the gradient of that line goes up, and then it plateaus a little bit, and then there's that last bit at the very end of the process where it's an absolute frenzy. Hello, Kim.
Hello, young man.
You're right. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
You can look at them. There's some good ones there for you.
Kim has just dropped a whole lot of quite old crystals on the desk for me, which I love it. I collect old crystal holders.
They're old.
They're this era of crystal. So this is for all. Now, I got 671 contacts. If you do the average, it's about a contact every 2 minutes.
Wow.
On average.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which that doesn't sound very impressive, but when you look at this, where you realise that in the frantic VHF sections we were doing contacts every 2 seconds. Oh no, correct, correct.
Yeah.
So that's where you get up to this sort of this level is more than 1 contact a minute. And so you're getting up to stupid levels. Now you can click the buttons. You can click any bands down the bottom on these, and you can also click. This is the VHF. So the VHF, you can see, and surprise, right between 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock, the scores, which is the green, the points, absolutely shoot up, and you can see there's 1 hour here where I got over 90, probably 92 points in an hour.
That would be mostly on 23 centimetres.
Yep. Well and truly. But bear in mind, even at the beginning of that big first hour, those points, that's over 60 points. So, and it's about, what, 48 contacts or something like that?
Again, 23 centimetres.
Well and truly.
Boosting you there.
Well and truly. And you can see this line sort of, the gradient's about right. It gets to a little plateau here and then shoots up for the 1 to 6 a.m. Little plateau, and then it shoots up again. And all of these contacts at the end were VHF and above. So go to HF. So HF, this is interesting. There's sort of a steady increase up until the 1 to 2. 1 to 2, yeah, there weren't many, but we get towards the end. So this is about 5 o'clock in the morning.
And that's about when you were calling CQ on 160 metres, isn't it?
Well and truly.
Yeah.
And you'll notice I got about 20 contacts, but I've got 80 points.
Yeah. Big time.
So this just, and again that same thing, steady gradient up, bit of a plateau, absolute shoot up between 1 and 6. Then there's a little bit of a plateau. Then it actually shoots up again at the end, and this was where I'd gone to VHF or UHF, come back to HF, and people were. This is your like 6 to 8 in the morning, and people are starting to wake up and get back on air and that sort of stuff. So it really shoots up, and then it plateaus off. It's not bad for a bit of an analysis.
So can I make a comment about your section there where you had those massive points, that spike, right? So I had my best spike in that period as well, but when I was working, I prioritised. I got up at 5 o'clock, and my priority was CW and 160 metres, because every contact gave me 12 points, right? But what was really hard is going from fast asleep, alarm, wake up, 30 seconds later, I was in there, and I went straight to CW on 160 metres, and I was hearing dits and dars with zero comprehension of what anything meant, and I was just sitting there thinking, come on, switch on, you've got to switch on, come on brain,
it's got to kick in,
and then it kicked in. I could go for it, but oh man, like it was great. Like at one point, like I just did these 4 contacts in quick succession. It was 48 points.
I love it.
It was wonderful. So if anyone is dallying or vacillating about learning CW, that's why you want to learn CW. For the
points.
For the nighttime hours of the RD contest.
I love it.
And you just need to put more time into it. Yeah. Because you're asleep when you should be scoring points.
And maybe a slightly better 160 metre antenna.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe, yeah. Which there's actually plenty of inverted L's and all sorts of stuff. It's within reach. A lot of people go, oh, it's 160 metres, and I've got to run out all this ground wire, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. No, you don't necessarily need to do that.
You don't. I mean, the better the antenna, the better the performance.
Correct.
But any antenna that works will get you something.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I used a 6.5 metre monopole terminated, which on 160 metres was effectively a dummy load. I still made contacts on it though.
There you go.
So the one I got now is much better.
Oh no, and can I just say, the 160 metre antenna that I'm using is the and we've featured it on here before, the short top loaded vertical, and we've now proven that you only need between 4 and 8 ground plane wires. And I'm not talking long ground plane wires, I'm just talking bits of wire, which will give you a reasonable performance on that antenna. And in fact, I think in the next AR magazine, there's an article which has all of our findings around the tests that we've done on that antenna and the build of it. And the improvements that I've made on Drew Diamond's... Drew Diamond was the original designer, and I've made some improvement on Drew Diamond's design. All available at the big hardware store with the B on it. And all of that, and I actually list out all of those bits and pieces on so a bit of a bill of materials about how to do that. So and that's what I was using. I got some great comments. One of the comments was from Steve VK5. We wish he was VK7. VK5 SFA, great call sign. Who was operating a very impressive station at Murray Bridge, but great comments from Steve, and he was absolutely powering it on 160 metres. Like a couple of other stations, actually. There was Catherine VK7C. Was I don't know what she's got on 160 metres, but wow, absolutely fantastic. So Graham, GS, 7GS, up at Mount Roland. Has a great 160 metre station. In fact, I've visited Graham and seen his station, so really he's put a lot of work into it. And Graham also does the 160 metre rebroadcast on a Sunday morning.
Okay.
So I'm a bit interested to listen on 160 metres with a half decent antenna.
Well, when he did it not last week, the week before.
Yep.
I struggled to hear him.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, I couldn't make him out readable, but I could see him on the waterfall kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
okay.
that's where he was, and I don't know why.
Yep.
But at this point in time, I can't rotate my antenna, so I couldn't try and optimise it.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
You know, so maybe it was an null or something.
And in fact, that's another thing. That was another strategy that I used. I had the rig arrangement that I had was I was using the 847.
Sorry, from your photo, it looked like the rig arrangement was you stood at the door with an armful of rigs and just chucked it. And that's how it landed. Yeah.
There was some structure and some framework to it.
Incredible photo of a station in contest mode.
We on the Discord channel there was a period just before the contest started where we were sharing all of our shack photos of, and I have to say there were all these wonderful, very tidy shacks and whatever else, and I thought, no, bugger this, I'm gonna and I think I said no unnecessary tidying has been done. I just have to clear a space.
I suspected if you tidied it up, it probably wouldn't work.
Well, you unplug something and then something doesn't work and you go, oh, damn, how was that done?
I did tidy my shack up for the photo only because it just looked terrible if it wasn't tidy.
No. I consciously, I used the 847 for VHF, UHF, so 2 metres and 70 centimetres, and 6 metres.
Yep.
So that was, I used that, and I actually used the 705 for HF.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I used the 705 for HF was the waterfall, because you can actually identify where the gaps are where people aren't operating.
I had a 24-inch screen with a pan adapter on it, and I went to the trouble of making sure I had everything set up perfectly. I could easily see where there were or weren't signals, which was really, really good.
And so those people who have got either pan adapters or they've got 7300s or 705s or 9700s for VHF and UHF, that whole waterfall display is a godsend.
Because I've got the pan adapter as well on mine, and what's great is you can see the people calling CQ because there's this boop, 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 boop on the waterfall. Yeah.
Correct.
And so you just go, you can see exactly who's not being worked at the moment, and just jump, and it's so quick.
Correct.
It's so easy.
And you can see the CQs. Oh, okay.
Well, you know what I mean. Like as the waterfall's
well,
coming,
They're just really short little.
No.
bursts.
I
But you
mean,
can
on
see a
voice.
CQ on. You can't see a CQ.
But what I mean is, but what you're seeing is this tail and then nothing, like the section, nothing, section, and it's just this regular
voice
or CW. When there's just this regular thing, and it's the same with CW.
Little
so you
bursts.
just know it. Somebody's just calling and no one's answering.
And somebody using a what do you call those recorded voices?
Oh, the parrot, the voice
key.
The voice key.
Yeah.
Someone using a voice key, well, their little blurt will be identical every single
Correct.
time, and
Correct.
it will look identical.
Yeah.
So,
And-
okay.
And can I just say, that's one of the reasons why I use the 705 for HF, because I used the voice keyer function last year and loved it, and ended up with a voice after it.
Yeah.
See, I tried it on my 920 and I didn't like it.
Okay.
And the main reason I didn't like it was because I couldn't stop myself from hearing my own voice.
Oh no, what? Yeah, okay.
I didn't like it. And
No.
it's just,
No. Well, I got used to that because I was using on the 705. I wasn't using headphones. I was just using stock standard microphone, and it's a speaker microphone. And in fact, I sort of thought, I'm not sure I like this. I'm going to plug in some headphones. I plugged in some headphones and went, actually don't like this. So, but the thing about the speaker mic was, most of the time I could discern what they were saying, but if I couldn't, I just went like that.
up to your ear, yep.
And so it's like a one headphone arrangement. And that actually worked quite well. It worked better than I thought it was going to work. So, but can I just say, on 160 meters, I plugged some headphones in a couple of times.
Yep.
Just so that I could just drown out absolutely everything and listen. And in fact, that's how I made the ZL contact.
Oh, okay.
Because I was having real trouble hearing him. But towards the end of that contact, he came out of the noise and it was fine. I wouldn't have needed the headphones, but but it was just, anyway. That's the 2023 RD. Now, if you haven't, please upload your log. please. Don't forget to upload your log. Even if you made 10 contacts, please upload and put it in there. This is all about participation.
Yep.
So
and just check your log to make sure that no obvious mistakes. No 77s in there where it should be a 7. And just look through it and sort it in order of call signs so that you can see where you might have made a mistake with the exchange numbers and things like that.
Correct. And can I just say, I did exactly that. And Murray, actually, if Murray's listening, ZMS, I went through Murray's, and one of the he was 25 years licensed, and I wrote down 24.
Oh, okay.
On one of those contacts.
That might be where I got my 25 against somebody that should have had 47. They had just one 25 in amongst all these 47s. I wonder where I get a 25 from. So I must have been talking to Murray just before that.
So they're just little things like that you can pick up relatively quickly. And it's just a quick update. VKCL actually lets you do that, and then you just re-export the log, which is really nice. And it exports it out to the Cabrillo format, and you just upload that into VK Log Checker, and it just happens. And then you get an email back from VK Log Checker, and it gives you your log back in the email, which is really nice, because you can actually see what it uploaded.
Yep.
So that's good. The other thing with VK Log Checker is you have 2 weeks to upload your log. If you suddenly find something that is wrong with your log, re-upload it, because all it does is take the last one. So if you find an issue with it, you can re-upload your log.
But it does annoy the contest manager if he sees that somebody's uploaded the log 7 or 8 times. He gets a bit suspicious.
Yeah. Well, 7 or 8 times might be a bit. Hang on, what's going on here?
Try and get it right the first go, and then, like I said, if you find another mistake, do it again.
Yep.
But I haven't done mine yet. I haven't done my final check.
Okay.
I've done my basic checks to all the obvious faults, but I've got to go back and just make sure that I'm happy with what is there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to manipulate anything as such, but just make sure that it does look correct.
No. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So now there was 33. I think there were 33 VK7 logs.
There's 37 at the moment.
There's 37. Okay.
Yeah. As of today, or lunchtime today, I looked at it. 37. There was 38 VK3s, and the other states will be much lower.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 6 ZLs. So yeah.
That's actually higher than usual.
That is a lot for ZLs. Yeah.
Yeah. And the 3 or 4 VK8s as well.
I think it was 3, but anyway.
So great. Really good.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
Okay. So I think we're in with a chance.
Yeah. And there's at least another. I know of at least another 4 VK7 logs that have to go in yet.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, they're still coming in.
Yeah. Cool.
Early days yet.
Cool. Okay. Well, we might now. You're welcome to stick around, guys. Because the next thing I was going to show you. This looks like a ruler. And in fact,
It's got buttons.
except it's got buttons. And there's all sorts of. That's better. Okay. So and it's got little LED lights on the sides of it. And in fact, if I go to here. Now, this is a crowd-funded project. It is called a NeoRuler. It is, yeah, you're welcome to. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It obviously measures things because it's a ruler. And you'll notice here there is, it says millimeters, it's got 0.0 and it's 1:1. So you can set the scaling on the ruler. As you measure something, you'll notice the little LEDs on the side are showing you what you're measuring. And it's also showing you up here what the actual measurements, 1:1. So this is 70.9 is actually 70.9 millimeters. You can change, let me just go in here, no, let's go back here. You can change the, here we go. Right, so it's 1:1, it's 1:1, you can change the scaling, so this is 1:2. So you'll notice that these little markers here just change 1:2, and the distance between these markers represents 2 centimeters. This is a scale. 1:3 it represents 5 centimeters. The distance between here represents 10 centimeters. So if you're wanting to measure something that is scaled, you can do that. And in fact, as you then go to the scale that you want, that distance, you can see here, we're at a 1:40 scale. That distance here, that little distance here, represents 294.8 millimeters. So you can then measure something off on a scale diagram and actually get the real world measurement on here. Now, the other function on here, which I absolutely, let me just go back to 1:1. The other function in here that I absolutely love, just let me muck about here for a little while. There we go. And we go to here. Now, this is a divider function on the actual. So you select the division that you want. I've selected in this case 5, and you can see it's 0 divided by 0 down here. As I move this, it is dividing whatever this space is by 5 and giving me the little markers. So you can see I've measured 56.66 divided, and the divisions are 11.33 millimeters between those dividers. So I can measure off something, and then if I want to divide it by, in this case, 5, it automatically divides it by 5, and I can then mark off on the work or whatever else if I want 5 rivets in there, or I want 5 particular holes or whatever. And I absolutely love this particular function. When I found this function on the ruler, absolutely loved it. This gets used in the workshop, and so it's a scale ruler, it's a ruler, it's a divider ruler. There is an app for your Android or iPhone that enables you to then record those measurements that you're taking on the actual app. There are a whole lot of different accessories that are available for it as well. This is a caliper kit for it, so you can make the ruler into a 350 millimeter caliper by you unscrew the end of this and put the caliper kit on here. Oh, that's interesting. You can see the refresh rate on the camera is competing with the refresh rate on the divider. So this is a caliper kit. There is also a whole lot of different pointers. On this, if I go back here, this particular pointer you can pull off and you can change the pointer. There is a little one where you can put a pen into it. Or there's a couple of other different arrangements with different pen holes and all sorts of stuff. Or you can just leave the pointer in there. But anyway, and you charge it through, it's got a LiPo battery inside, you charge it through a USB-C port on the back of it, and it lasts quite a long time. So that's, I just wanted to show you, and it comes in a very nice little arrangement. This is how they ship them. NeoRuler gets shipped in a little tube with the charging cable and a few other bits and pieces in there, and enables you to then put it away in something that's going to protect it. It's got a very nice user manual, and anyway, that's the NeoRuler. Or NeoRuler, was come up. The idea for it, I suspect, was a bunch of architects who needed it for scale drawings and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, that's the NeoRuler along with the caliper kit, which I don't have a caliper that's that long, so it actually works. It actually works quite well. And it has been used in anger in the workshop quite a bit, especially that divider function. Absolutely love it. So there you go. Anyway, have a look. Put in NeoRuler, and you'll see the crowdfunding arrangement that's currently there. And they will become more and more available, I suspect, as time goes on. I got into, I think, the second or third run of them in the crowdsourcing. So yeah, they'll eventually become into a general production. So there you go. And good evening to Ron and David and Andy, TWooZA. So hello, and we had our RD contest wrap up just before, Andy. So yeah. Now the other thing I was going to show you, if you just bear with me, that's probably a little bit better. Just bear with me. I will grab one of the latest amateur radio magazines. Now, you can see, let's go to zoom out here and zoom over to amateur radio magazine. This is the volume 91, number 4. So this is the latest and greatest. Showing all about, there's a bit of a feature on young people on the air and promoting amateur radio. One of the key things I wanted to point out here is on page 22, and this is to do with our VK7 Centenary that we've been promoting. There is a brief history of WIA and local amateur group broadcasts in VK7 by myself and Linda Luther, VK7QP. And it starts off in the 1920s. We've got Linda and myself have been through a range of documents and been able to trace the broadcasts in VK7 right back to the 1920s. and 1923 was the centenary, and this enables us to go right back to the 1920s, where they were raising money for VK7 Whiskey India to go out as a broadcast. And VK7 Whiskey India features in the call books from 1929 through to about 1936. This is a 1934 advertisement for 3AK and 7UV Ulverston, personalities in radio. This comes from Amateur Radio Magazine in 1934. We then go through each of the decades, so the 1930s, then into the 1940s, and there's some interesting facts around the 1940s. We head into the 1950s, and here's a wonderful picture up here of Max Ives, Peter Frith and Tom Allen with the 50-year ceremonial cake, which has this very large tower on the cake with a antenna, Yagi antenna on the top of it. Love it. Which we had on the Southern luncheon cake. We had it wasn't quite that big, but it was a little Yagi tower. Into the 1950s, and we've got John Grace, VK7ZJG here, up on Mount Wellington next to TVT6 at Mount Wellington. Into the 1960s, and there's a little feature, a little insert feature here on Winnie the War Winner, and of course Max Lovelace, who was signalman Max Lovelace. Here he is down here, who put together Winnie the War Winner, which is in the Australian War Memorial. Well worth having a look at the War Memorial if you're in Canberra. We go through the 1970s. Here's Joe Gelston, VK7ZGJ, and then became VK7JG. Here's Snowy Harrison down here, VK7CH, who featured in the broadcast scene for a long, many decades. Through the 1970s, we've got Tony Bedelf down here with VK7NW, VK7AX, reading the Northwest News on ATV. We've got into the 1970s, Tom Allen, Tom Moffat, and Brian Morgan, a very young Brian Morgan, reading ATV News, VK7 Whiskey India. Did a December 1975 ATV broadcast. And then up here in the 1980s, you can see Barry Risley, VK7RS, who's now Silent Key, unfortunately, presenting the VK7 Whiskey India ATV broadcast in 2006. So lots of material about QRM magazine. Here's John Rogers up here, who for a long time put the broadcast together and also read the broadcast. 1990s, 2000s, there's yours truly in the middle there. Ian Milne, who read the broadcast VK7IR for a long time, Silent Key, and then we finish off down here with Mike Jenner, VK7FB, who still reads the broadcast, and so does yours truly actually. And then we finish up with where our sources came from. So that's quite an extensive article I just wanted to point out in the current edition of Amateur Radio Magazine. And there is, for the rest of the year, we've actually organised for at least a VK7 article to appear in Amateur Radio Magazine for the rest of the year. So for each month there is a VK7 historical article that's will appear in Amateur Radio Magazine for the rest of the year. So just to continue our centenary celebrations and extend them for a little bit longer. So anyway, that's our. We're at 8:32, so it's time to wrap up. We'll have another DATV night next week, and just to remind people that our presentation night, which is the first Wednesday night of the month, we've got Ben, VK7BEN, giving us a talk on cyber threats and how to hopefully be a little bit more secure when you're online. And it should be a fantastic talk. Ben is actually a ICT cybersecurity specialist, so it will be a fascinating talk and hopefully give people some information about how to how to be a little bit safe when you're online. So so there you go. That's the first Wednesday night of the month. So this has been VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night 73, and we'll catch you. Oh, okay, hang on. VK7IK. I worked VI7 Alara today on 40 metres from a mobile in VK3. So now, Alara meet is in Hobart in the beginning of November. So, and we've got, I think we've got quite a lot of people who have actually booked. And in fact, we've got a big meeting about it on Saturday. So should be fantastic. And Reast is helping the Alara organising committee out. So there'll be some things up here at the club rooms. There's a barbecue and there's a historical tour and all sorts of things. So so VI7 Alara is on air by the sound of it. So thank you VK7IK for pointing that out. Fantastic. Anyway, 73. We'll catch you next week, and we'll same time, same bat channel, same bat frequencies, and we'll catch you next week. 73.